Hello, it's meow time for KittenousBeast gaming videos for cats and their people, KatzeLande Prime, episode 17. Uh, so in our last sort of short brief episode, we tackled that cooling project for the natural gas power plant. And the next part of our plan will be to finish uh, the rough build out of the natural gas geyser itself. It's presently dormant, so what we're going to do is we're going to build as finished of a product as possible into that structure so that we are able to easily capture the resources as it's being produced, uh, and just sort of like have an opportunity to just keep things under control as much as possible with this particular resource that we have. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. We are also going to, as you can see on the goals here, we're going to continue to tunnel up as well. So we'll kind of be balancing those two projects uh, in today's session here. Um, you can kind of see we have this chlorine gas sink working at the top of our tunnel, and it seems to be working fairly well. These salt vines are in the presence of some significant chlorine, and they can continue to extract that from this area here. Um, it's taking the chlorine gas and basically turning it into salt. So um, check the printables. So we're handling that chlorine gas from that corrosive biome sort of in a nice natural way, right? A little bit of an all around here. Suit wearing, rocketry, digging, decreased husbandry, innately stylish. Huh, interesting. That's a nice Gossman. Nice all-arounder. It's not bad to have, um, interests in areas where that you're either going to spend points there no matter what, just to keep the dupes all kind of like capable, or if you're planning on specializing a certain type of crew member maybe. So that's nice. Um, Over here we've got piloting 9, decreased germ resistance. Not a bad uh, penalty, but I don't think either of these are that interesting. The salt water is kind of what I'm interested in. I use salt water to create uh, those little reservoirs that can hold uh, objects that gas out. So I'm going to go ahead and just get a little bit of salt water so I have that on hand. All right, so let's talk about how we're going to capture this in a more formal way. So when I capture a structure like this that's heat producing, you definitely want to seal it in with insulated tiles because this is going to release a lot of heat. So the plan is, you know, protect the base as much as possible with um, these insulating tiles, and they'll just help keep the base cool, so to speak. Speaking of cool, I hope you enjoyed last episode where we built this nifty little cooling loop for our power plants. And as I said, this is really, really nice. It's going to keep the temperatures low on this particular part of our base. And that particular part of our base is going to be leaned on quite heavily as we you know, start to work up at the top of the base with this rad bolt generating system we'll eventually build. So let's go ahead and put this nice corridor here. I like to have my entry point near the top because the natural gas actually sinks with oxygen. So usually there'll be air at the top, even if there's some natural gas left, just in case work needs to be done on the interior of the chamber at some point. We're going to especially be installing a couple of upgrades as materials become available. So I might, um, I might as well make these out of iron. It doesn't really matter what material they're made out of. So, but we are going to do an airlock here to protect the temperature. So you will see a little bit of how do you make a nice. I mean, I've seen some schematics where it's just like some water or something to create an airlock. But this is usually how I do it. I use automation wires with a cycle sensor to control the interaction, and I'll show you what I kind of set in my reasoning for that in a few seconds here. So, all right, got that all wired up now. It shouldn't be too shabby, and that cycle sensor is going to help us maintain um, a void pressure in here. So when you have a pocket of space that has a vacuum in it, it is the perfect insulator. So, I want to have access into this area, but the heat that this gas is going to have is going to be, it can be quite high. So, who got entombed? No, it's probably because of that. Where, who is entombed? Where are these people? Oh, are they stuck in the door? Just open the door. Jeez, how'd they get caught in a door? That's so weird. Probably because that sensor kicked on or something. Um, so what I like to do with this, just kind of tell you what I'm thinking here. Um, I like to trigger the cycle reset, kind of like when they're sleeping. So probably like right at the morning. So what this will do is this will trigger this door to open and close. Now you can see presently there's a vacuum there. So that means if the temperature is high over here, it'll hit this door and heat the door up. But this vacuum will prevent this door from heating up at all. So by creating a vacuum in this space, it's going to prevent heat from penetrating through this chamber at any significant rate. So the cycle sensor is in place just in case the duplicates enter the chamber while they're working or whatever. Um, if they do, uh, an air pocket will form, and so then you'll have air in there. Well, then eventually, once a cycle, this door will reset and a vacuum will be reformed. That's the operating theory here. So that's the reason why I'm doing that. Now, meanwhile, down here, this doesn't never going to be able to have a vacuum here. So what I'm going to do is just delete this and replace it with insulated tiles now that we've built this structure. I've built circuits where like if a duplicate steps here, then it'll like trigger for a few seconds or something. And all of that is just more frustration than just doing this business. And I don't know what Hassan's problem. Oh, he's building. That's like a weird graphical bug or something. Anyways, so now we've got our temperature control in place here. We've built insulated tiles to protect the base from the heat that this will produce. Because remember, it releases uh, 353 grams of natural gas at 150 degrees Celsius. So it's going to be very, very hot. And so speaking of heat, it might be a good idea to cool this down. Well, how could I cool it down? How about a little bit of a cooling loop down here as well to manage some of the temperature of this natural gas geyser? So my plan is to pull from my hot pocket of polluted water. So the hotter this water is, the happier I am. I want this to get hot. So I'm going to go ahead and kick a loop off of this pump so that I'm not, um, using a new pump to do this. I'm already operating this pump. It has to maintain pressure on the refinery, which sometimes operates, and it has to maintain pressure on this uh, water sieve, which also only sometimes operates because it's just feeding these carbon dioxide processors. Okay, so you know that polluted water pump doesn't really have any high load on it, so we can draw from it, I think, quite comfortably for this purpose. All right, so we'll go ahead and just run a pipe, and I gotta plan this out thoughtfully on how I want to do this. So I'm actually going to kind of reverse engineer this for a second. I'm going to get back to this vent, right? So let me trace a path back to the vent that works. So here's a vent right here. So let's just go ahead and tap into that. So I'm going to tap into that vent for the output of my cooling loop. So since that's where my output's going to go, let's build, remember we're building this backwards to make it a little bit easier on ourselves, right? So we're going to put a liquid valve here. We're going to have a pipe that detects the temperature of the water, okay? So that if it's a certain temperature, it will exit the system. And I'm going to set this temperature to be kind of generous, like 50 degrees or something, just so like this natural gas, I might even set it down maybe like to 45. I feel like that's a nice temperature for natural gas. So we'll maybe set this to like 40 to 45 degrees. You know, if the input of the natural gas is as close to the output of the generator, remember these generators have minimum output temperatures, okay? So if I'm putting in natural gas that's about 40 degrees, I'm not generating heat, I'm not losing heat. It's like going to be nice. So let's just keep it that thought. Like around 40 degrees, 45 degrees, we want this temperature of this water down here. All right. And the gas therein. So now that we've built the output piece, now we need to sort of just create the loop piece. Okay. So let's go ahead and back this up because again, if the water is not hot enough, we want it to re-enter the system. Okay, so that re-entry needs to have higher priority. So here's how we're going to program that, right? So we've got our pipe here. That's going to be the first pipe in the loop line. And then we've got our pipe here. This is the pump side of the input. That's going to have secondary priority now. Why does it have secondary priority? It has secondary priority because it's second in the line. This one's first in the line, this one's second in the line, so this one gets priority. That's what's going to allow this loop to keep spinning while this input waits to get put in. So as soon as water starts to exit the system, yeah, this pump will fire up and inject more liquid into the system. And that's exactly what we want, so this is nice and efficient. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to do a set of, let's see, we've got so something like that. Ooh, that looks beautiful. Okay, so we've got a connector here into the radiator and an output connector here. I'm almost tempted to go down for another pass, but I think this is plenty of cooling. So let's not push it with the materials. Let's kind of try and keep this as simple as possible. Uh, and if I notice that there's like particularly hot pockets being formed or something, you know what? What the hell? Let's just go ahead and do the extra. Oh, but I'm out of aluminum. Let's just leave it like this. If I need to come in here and rebuild this, I will. But I think that's going to be totally satisfactory. So let's go ahead and queue up a couple more aluminum pieces because we can do it. Why not? All right. And this is going to help us have perfect control over this natural gas uh, um, geyser. We are going to cool the gas down to an appropriate temperature, store the gas, and use the gas to power the base. This is going to be great once we get this all set up. Now, we've got to get the gas out of this geyser. So you remember my initial build was this one pump with this sensor here, the cycle sensor. And I'm going to continue to follow that sort of strategy, but we are going to be removing the automation wire and automation sensor because we will be doing things a little differently in terms of the logic here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it that way. we are going to put in an additional gas pump here. All right, so the way that we want this to work is we want the two uh, gas lines to connect, and we want them to connect like this. We're gonna pull off, oops, yeah, we're gonna pull off that, oh, that's fine. It's just regular old oxygen and some carbon dioxide getting thrown out. Okay, that'll stop that. Perfect. Okay, so what's going to happen here is we want these gas pumps to function um, under certain conditions. The first condition is I want them to uh, have um, natural gas nearby. So I'm going to go ahead and place that sensor uh, probably maybe. Wish I had another. I guess I could probably put it here. Let me just deconstruct that ladder piece so I can place it. Okay, so we'll put that sensor down here. Okay, so the first thing is if there is natural gas present, the pumps can work. So we're going to make this an and sentence here. So, because we want to have an additional condition. Okay, so if there is natural gas present, and now the next part of the sentence is, and the atmosphere in the area is a certain pressure, we want the pumps to run. That's the basic design philosophy here, right? Great. But, um, you know, I may want to have the possibility of an override where I'm able to run these, um, if I need to. So if the, no, I guess if these were, then it would always just put, I think this is probably fine logic for now. Just trying to, I was thinking if I wanted to add an additional condition on it or not. I don't think I really do. So I think I might just keep it simple for now. Um, we will eventually be able to add more complexity to that logic because of the fact that we could maybe add uh, a vent um, output limiter in place here. So I may even, consider how that would play out right now. So there's these gas meter valves, and I can't build one because I don't have plastic in my inventory. So I can't build one of these yet, but I may want to put one in place in this system. So I'm going to go ahead and leave a little bit of space for that here in this area here. Okay, so I'm going to kind of do that. And then we are going to attempt to connect into this filter. But see, here's where we need to be careful. So in order for them to connect into the filter, it's got to be uh, smaller than a kilogram. So we need to put a valve in place here. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put in position here a valve to deal with that issue. So let me see if I can. My guys can't get over there right now, but maybe I can build a couple ladders or something. Yeah, they'll get over there. Okay, so we want to put a valve in place, and I want that valve to be as close to the connection as possible so that um, there's less of a chance of the packet getting compressed after leaving the valve. If that makes any sense at all. So like, um, if it's coming out of this gas valve at 999 grams, then when it leaves this pipe, it'll be that size pretty much unless this backs up. So it wouldn't back up. The only way it would ever back up is if this system got overpressurized. Then it would back up and maybe some natural gas would escape into this vent here, the output of this cutoff that we're connecting to. So that is pretty much it for the ventilation piece. So we have some conditions on the operation of our pump. We're looking for natural gas and we're looking for a certain pressure. Those pumps will then run. It'll be mostly natural gas getting into the system. We're going to limit it down to 999 grams so that this mechanical filtering system will always catch the natural gas and push it off into storage. So that's that part of the project. And with these two key pieces now in place, just want to make sure they can build everything and don't need additional help. Uh, I wonder if we can even build that. I hope we can. We'll see what these guys can do. And I will work on prioritizing this task now, just so that I can be sure that the project gets wrapped up soon. And if there's a hang up, can't get something done, then yeah, I'll set this. So if it'll be green if it's above 30, let's do, I think we were talking like 40 degrees. Okay. So if the water in the pipe system is at 40 degrees or above, it will be dismissed and released into the reservoir. And that basically means this reservoir is eventually going to get to 40 degrees or a little bit hotter than 40 degrees, and then we'll slowly see heat start to increase across the system eventually. Um, and we'll have an opportunity to deal with that heat when the time is right. Um, it's not that hard to convert this into oxygen, which will wind up being 70 degrees in temperature or whatever. So we'll figure out a way of dealing with it once it gets to that temperature. But it might take a long time for that to happen. I mean, it's only 35 degrees right now. And this thing's not even hot. We've analyzed it. When is it going to be? Next activity is in 50 cycles. So, like, how many episodes from now? Maybe like 5 episodes from now, this thing's going to kick back on and we're going to be able to use it to power our natural gas plants. And I'll have completed the project so it's ready to roll as soon as the thing goes hot. So that's smart, right? Have it all figured out already? At that time, we'll need to build a tremendous additional supply capacity down here for gas because we're going to get loads of natural gas and we're going to want to keep it stored so we can use it for powering the base or doing different projects. So, all right, let's set so we want this, if it's above, you know, let's say 1,000, I think is good for the pressure. So that's fine. So if it's above 1,000, if it's above 1,000, set a green signal. And then we'll put in this second gas element sensor. So if the gas is natural gas, okay. So if the gas is natural gas, it'll output green. And if the pressure is high enough, it'll output green. Then it'll output green into both of these and kick those pumps into life. So that's how that's going to work for us. All right. Fabulous. Okay. So we have completed a significant number of improvements onto this area. The last thing I want to do is just sweep out the stuff that's there, just so it's out of this chamber. This chamber is something that is supposed to be sealed. Um, it's not supposed to be uh, it's not supposed to be accessible. So I'm going to have this material get swept up so that it's not exposed to unusual temperature situations, and then I don't have my guys having any sort of like dumb pickup errands assigned into here Oh, that pump's not even powered up. Oh, power. This is another opportunity for me to do like a really easy upgrade on this system. So I can power these pumps directly from the generator side if I like drag a power line down this way. So I'm really tempted to do that. And in fact, I am going to do that. It's going to require me to break one of my algae blocks down here, which is a tragedy. Um, I shouldn't do that actually. So now that I've had that thought, I'm actually going to build it here, the power line connector, so it doesn't break that algae block. I guess I could get a slime block or whatever, but that'll be. Oh, I wonder. I don't think I'll be able to do that either. I'll have to do this like on a slime block or something. So yeah, let's hit this slime block right here. This is like a slime block. So we'll build a heavy watt conductive plate. Yeah, this is going to work out nice. So right there. And then um, we'll do another heavy watt plate here. And then we'll do that heavy watt wire down the way. Connect it up. Okay, fabulous. So now that I have this generator side of the power line headed this way, very, very convenient. Just shoot it straight down. Jack right into those gas gas guys. Get rid of that little weak wire, and now we've taken that 480 watts of power off of a subnet and put it directly onto our generator network. So this is definitely a smarter play. So I think that that's a really, really good move for the base. And it's extending a heavy power line down. So if I want to like eventually, this is my main tunnel, right? If I want to eventually descend down into the oil biome, if I carry this heavy watt wire with me, like not through the main elevator shaft, but like alongside of it, then that's going to give me access to high voltage power that's really going to make dealing with challenges a lot easier. Like if I need to move a lot of gas fast, I don't need to worry about the subnet I'm on overcharging or burning a wire if I'm carrying this heavy watt wire with me. And that's actually going to be part of my strategy going up as well. And in fact, I definitely need to use whatever heavy watt extensions I have to move along my main shaft and get power up here so that we have a good amount of power to work with. So once this power upgrade is finished, glad that I sort of thought of it at the last second. Uh, once that's finished, we'll be able to move ahead with the next step, which is to continue climbing up. And I think while we're up here, we'll even work on this little Draco Ranch project. So I think we'll be able to take advantage of that. Um, okay, so the approach is a little bit challenging. I am going to approach from below here, and that's going to cause this hydrogen to be pushed up by my more plentiful oxygen supply here. So I'm going to be gentle with the hydrogen so that it does push up in a way that I like. So I'm going to build a little bit of um, pressure on the oxygen side first and then pierce a hole so that it'll push up the hydrogen. There's already a Dreco in the area, so that's going to make the project even easier. Guess we'll go ahead and mine some additional iron here. There's no reason not to. Get the tiles that I can. And I may want to put a... I don't want them really entering from the top at all because that's going to cause issues. So I am going to disconnect that. But I may as well get these wire segments while I'm up here. And I'll put a tile there so that that gets sealed. Let's see. So the chlorine is a lower pressure than the oxygen here. So I'm going to enable access because these errands for the sand need to be run. Otherwise, the project of clearing this chlorine will never really finish. Both of these plants need the sand to keep eliminating chlorine. So hopefully no chlorine escapes this, but that's fine. I think we've got a high enough pressure oxygen that it'll push the chlorine down. And now that they've done that errand, I can kind of, again, give that area a little bit of a break from dupe access. So, all right, so we've got good pressure. I think if we break this one and ladder up, we'll be able to work on this quite nicely. I'm going to put I don't think, probably do want a pneumatic door. Just trying to think about how this will eventually get built out. I think we'll go that way. Yeah, these Draco ranches are kind of, um, they're nice. I mean, you want to have these Dracos making you plastic. It's like super smart to do. I don't even know how hard it would be or what what kind of effort I would need to make to get down to the bottom of the map. Um, Getting down can be a real challenge. So I'm going to make sure that we don't breach into this chlorine pocket just yet. We're trying to lay the foundation a little bit first. So yeah, hopefully this will get finished fast. Although I can always just pump whatever hydrogen's there back down if I need to. Yeah, so these consume like 7 kilograms of sand per cycle, and they take the chlorine out of the air. So I think they consume like 6 grams of chlorine per second or something like that. So uh, they can rip through the chlorine. It just takes a little while, and you got to keep them happy. Got some idleness here, and I'm trying to figure out what. Oh yeah, do that. Again, I don't necessarily want to open up that chlorine just yet. I want to build more of the structure of the thing first. Yeah, you can kind of see that this is got all this hot water in there. Again, this would be such a pain to have to work around if this had exploded and really filled up a massive amount of space with hot water. We'll be able to tap into this later. I just don't have the right technology to really do too much. That would be a nice like long-term solution for this. So we'll just leave it be for a little bit. Ooh, I could have a doctor on the staff. Just like a real specialist. But I don't. I think I already have one dupe that I've has like a can do it. So I'm not going to even bother with that. But yeah, look at this digging with undigging and super duper digging. What a weird Gossman. We'll just take the brain. Looking at my mushroom farm, I'm thinking it might be a good time to do a little bit of a rebuild on that. Maybe next time. Um, oh, shoot. What a mess. Can they mop that up? Crud. So when they finished the heavy wrought joint plate, it must have spilled a tile of water down here. So now I got this polluted water sitting down here, taking up space. Ugh. So what I'll do is, don't have tons of good options, but I did think of a quick solution to the problem that wouldn't require me to have to set up a pump or anything that frustrating. So I'll have my dupes fill in this gap here. These are all solid tiles. So I'll make like a stretch of solid tiles and pour the liquid out onto that. And then once this is all spread out across all these tiles, they should be able to mop it. Looks like it's like about one tile worth of stuff. So um, once this is filled in, I can break the block, get the water out, mop it up on this side, mop it up on there, start mopping it up down here. It'll all be taken care of pretty quick. Okay, here we go. It's leaking polluted oxygen in there, and it's causing a big mess, basically. Yeah, that should do it. We should be able to mop it up. And now it's just a matter of just doing the mopping, and this will all get handled. Alright. Looks like it's all handled pretty much. All that polluted water that didn't belong there is now taken care of, so we can reseal that back up. A little bit of a frustrating turn, but that's the kind of stuff that happens sometimes when you're doing a building project. And, you're doing a funny thing like that, you can get a little bit of a splash. Not too bad. I don't know if I would classify that as an industrial accident. I think that's more of just like a little bit of a, a little bit of a goof up, I guess. Huh? Okay, so now that we've got this cleared, we can start keep pushing it up. So we can work on this Draco ranch. As you can see, there's kind of a nice big pocket of hydrogen here. This is exactly what we want. When we're finished with the project, this will be 105 tiles, and we're going to shorten that down a little bit. You'll see how we do that when we get to that part of the project. So we'll seal this up here. So one way that we're going to diminish the number of tiles is to build up from this line that we've developed. So I'm going to be building another layer of ground, specifically to the left for my farm plots, and that'll help consume some of the tiles that are needing to be gotten rid of. But this is going to need a grooming station. It's going to need a shearing station. It is going to let some of that chlorine out, so we may have a little bit of an issue with that gas starting to kind of float out. And it'll float down, 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 and it'll eventually get down here. So I may eventually put like a Dasha salt vine or something. It'll actually get here first, so maybe I'll put one of those here. I don't think I have any spares, do I? Salt vines. I don't have any right now, so maybe I can go and fetch one. There's one up here. Yeah, this is all kind of a dead zone. So maybe I'll get over here at some point. Kind of a long walk. And there's a nice opportunity with some good open spaces here. Look at this. This right there. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. A beautiful stretch with a natural pocket of water too to spread across it. This is going to be perfect for a water weed farm, which we'll do. And then I've got another opportunity for another big one here too. So I'm going to start to think about that project maybe for next time. A couple of things on the mind there, huh? Okay, so with this part of it finished and us continuing to move up, I think we can safely burst this pocket down into here maybe. Yeah. So I might come across this way. Take that up. Put a ladder there. I think once we poke up over here, we could cut over to the left and just open that up. That should help. I just want my fire pole. And yeah, we still need to get this pocket away and down. So we'll probably just do a ladder, maybe even straight up here. It's getting close to this hot spot, so that sort of works with this being right where most of the chlorine is going to settle. So it makes sense to have like a channel for it. So I'll go ahead and cut these out too. Yeah, I think I'll leave these just a little bit of extra structure there for my guys. They are going to take hits from the chlorine, so they'll get like minor irritation or major irritation, and we'll have to think about resolving that issue. Mainly it's just through patience. As soon as these vines finish off most of the chlorine, we can let more oxygen in and it'll be a safer place to work. Yeah, we'll get this chlorine off. And then we'll be able to proceed up. So we are really jammed up. I don't want to, get in trouble for this, but I might even do some side building so I can actually make progress and just butt out this gas. So maybe I'll try that so I'm not held up too long. But I'm trying to get up there so I can empty that pocket out too. So and like plants like these pinch of pepper plants that are just kind of hanging here. They're in the right temperature zone. They don't need anything. You can just let them hang there and you can get free resources out of them. Like, okay, just leave them there. Like, don't break the whole biome down. In fact, it's kind of these balm lilies or whatever. If I stabilize the chlorine in here and just kind of let it hang out, I could always have balm lilies growing if I wanted. And I might set up a farm like that at some point, but I don't think it's really necessary. You can see the oxygen's already here, so we can finish that part of it. And then hope that we can make some progress over here. Few more minutes here to let this sort of shake out for us. So again, I'm going to turn this into a really nice ranch. Um, that's the plan anyways, for Drekos. And once we clear this out, we should be able to add in the food supply for the Drekos. And we're going to convert them into glossy Drekos, which requires us to feed them uh, mealwood seeds is what they need. So I'm going to build a whole bunch of farm tiles and then grow mealwood right in these little plots. So that'll be good because it'll help us keep these little Drekos happy. I gotta put a drop-off point here. It's kind of annoying that when there's a plant in the way, you can't build the tile that you want to indicate what should go there next, sort of. Guess I should probably put these to a lower priority for a few seconds while these guys do the right work. Yeah, I want them to build out that frame of tiles first before doing the whole thing. So looking at the room size right now, we're at 93 tiles, so that works for me. I'll just go ahead and cancel the deconstruct requests there. I should be able to easily build in walls now that the hydrogen is kind of pressurized up to the ceiling. And we'll put our Drekos in there, the ones that we can find anyways. Where'd that other one go? They kind of like crawl all over the place. There's the other one. Get those two guys. Thought there was another one just crawling around. No. Guess not. Oh, little plug slugs over here living their best lives. Alright, so with those Drekos being ordered to get caught, we should see some. Let's get those guys planted so that the Drekos can eat. It's kind of weird because Drekos don't like the mealwood finished product. They just like to bite the plant for some, for whatever reason. So you've got to basically just plant them, and then they'll just keep them fertilized with some dirt, and the Drekos will do the rest. They'll just nibble on them and stay happy. So it's a beautiful thing when it's so simple. I'm noticing that I kind of disrespected the space of the tunnel with part of this build here, so I may in fact do some shenanigans here to kind of like make the room more compliant with the structure, but this might be fine. I mean, we're getting towards the edges of the base, so I don't know if we need to respect it so precisely while we're getting to this point. But it might be nice to reconfigure this a little bit and get some kind of benefit. So maybe it's the addition of a light or something. Although this guy kind of would help Hassan work faster if this shine bug came closer. Yeah, and so put those back to 5 so that they get fertilized. With that Draco farm built, that kind of puts us in a good spot. We definitely want plastic very, very soon. It's an extremely valuable and important part of what you need in terms of materials. So like if you want to build some high pressure equipment, it requires plastic. So you have to have it, basically. And these Druccos will eventually become glossy Druccos because they're eating the mealwood. And then they'll lay glossy Drucco eggs. And then once we get a couple glossy Drucco eggs, we'll go crazy, make all these glossy Druccos, and have loads of good stuff. Ooh, look at that, high ranching skill, buff, germ resistance, kitchen menace. That's a nice dupe. That's a nice Nicola. I'm tempted. I just got another you know, ranch set up, so I need people to do ranching errands. And having this skill means that they'll be doing the errand less, and that means they'll be doing other errands more. So it's kind of a funny paradox there. In terms of calories, I'm good. In terms of space, I could definitely accommodate another dupe pretty easily. So I might go with this one. Welcome aboard, Nicola. And we are gonna put that's gonna have to be kind of setting our direction for the next episode, honestly, because we're gonna need to do some upgrades. Add an additional barracks, probably add another set of restrooms is going to be necessary. So maybe I'll work on the inside of the base next episode exclusively. Just try and do some upgrades around the base, get things set up for having a bigger colony. Because right now this is sort of like a frontier colony, pretty simple. And we might want to maximize the use of our space here, get some of these natural materials back into our inventories, and start to really handle some of this mess that we have. It's kind of a messy place, so yeah, I might even just go ahead and just sort of declare what I'm thinking right there. So I'll just go ahead and put a line right in here, and we'll keep this all on the up and up with the ventilation flow. Just get this all set up now. Switch to iron so it's be a little cheaper. And then I'm gonna just put storage bins. That's right, I did it. Storage facility. Primitive storage facility. So that we can just start dealing with some of this, some of the resources we have excesses of, and start to store the resources that just need to be collected. So put that into place and let the clock run out on that project. Meanwhile, let's check their skills. So actually, let me pause it. I don't want to lose any time here. Oh, Nails is going to be my rancher, right? So she's got to get that skill. And here's Nicola, right? He's going to be loving his ranching duties, right? So let's get him right over there, over to ranching as soon as possible. Now, how am I going to build things better or differently? That's a good question. Got some space here. Maybe I can turn this into a great hall or something. Probably wouldn't be too difficult to do at this point. So that might be fun, but it's very close to where this carbon dioxide is being stored. So, it could very easily flood with carbon dioxide if there's not good pressure here. So, stuff to think about. How are we going to solve these difficult problems? Not really quite sure the answer to that question, honestly, so just keep plugging along, I guess. So, I generally like to put more useful stuff on the edges. So, like, let's go ahead and put granite, igneous rock. And like these other rocks I don't really care about. Sedimentary, sometimes you use it with hatches, but I don't have any hatches. Um, so now we get into like, some of the less useful or less called upon ones, like obsidian, that mafic rock. I mean, I don't even know if I really need any of that junk. And then on the other edge, we can put in things like metal ore, the filtration mediums, soil. We're going to do a couple of soil because there's loads of dirt. And then maybe agriculture, clothing, industrial ingredient. Just checking all the boxes just to make sure that everything has a place. Put the refined metal in there. Just get everything all organized and just give the dupes a little bit of time to just clean stuff up. It won't take long. They'll likely fill every single one of these bins with some of those resources because we've dug around so much. So, this is just one way to help keep the base a little tidied up and give the dupes some time, some additional tasks to do while I think about what do I want to do next. Got all these pips. All these pips, just loads of pips. They're getting cramped, so I'm going to sweep up all their eggs so that they'll lay more. And I might even, do a project with them. Now we're talking about redoing parts of the base, so maybe we want to do a planting project with our pips. Got a nice stretch right along here. That's pretty good. So we could do something along this line here. Totally fine, I think. And unfortunately, you have to kind of start from the top down with those farms, so I might even want to just scope out a higher spot first. Something like here, maybe. I mean, look at that. That's just mostly flat. Mostly flat, perfect for this farm concept. But, it's got to have a nice stable temperature, which it does. And if I protect it from the top, it will most likely keep that temperature stable with very little effort on my part. So what I have here is just my first really massive farm that's going to be used to just generate resources for free. The best price. Absolutely free. So that's kind of the plan right now. Yeah. So we are going to need a place for our new dupe to eat and a place for our new dupe to sleep. So I I think this one's maxed out. It's 63 tiles, max size 64. So I can't really add another room to this particular one. But, I might as well crack into here. And, I was saying that there's an excellent opportunity for a farm up here. But we also need space for the base. So maybe I can put another farm here. I could, that'd be nice. But I'm gonna just kind of just use this space for my base, because we need to have some space for the dupes to live. So let's go ahead and just carve this out as well. So doing some big moves in terms of our base natural environment, and just making some changes, that's all. And there's nothing wrong with leaving some of these things alone and giving yourself little natural spots to have. Nothing wrong with that. But take advantage when you can. That's just this is going to free up 2 oxyferns. So it was a pretty high pressure pocket of oxygen. But yeah, we're going to be able to plant a couple more oxyferns down because of this too. Like, that's a win all around. Look at him go. So I think at the top I'm going to make this my arbor tree farm land. And there's going to be some little spots here for kind of a landing of sorts. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Okay, so yeah, no, that would be easier. Let's do it that way. I'm thinking about where am I going to drop my fire pole for this, right? Because you definitely want a fire pole for something that's going to require your dupes to go up on a regular basis. So let's drop our fire pole right down here. Just thinking about like, oh, that's probably the easiest way to do it, honestly, because these doors are going to interfere with it going on the right-hand side. So. In fact, I've had a lot of thought recently about this farm and how to modify it. So I may even go ahead and start modifying that, but we'll do that next episode. I think we've done enough for today. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. I know we've been doing some kind of funny business here, but and I hope your cat enjoyed the video too, if you have one. But that's going to be it for this one. Have a great day, and we'll be seeing you.